Hey, welcome to my channel where I talk about my dolls, and that's literally it. And in this video, I'm going to be ranking all my American Girl historical dolls, but there are a couple things I should mention before I get started. First of all, I have 20 historical characters, which means I'm missing 5 characters, and a few of the historical dolls that I have multiples of. I'm only going to be ranking one of each doll, so in order to get each doll as high up on the ranking as possible, I'm going to choose my favorite of that doll. And even though I will never have the other historical dolls, I guess at the end I can say of those dolls who would be my favorite to least favorite. And it was really hard to make this list for a couple reasons. The main one being putting dolls lower than others almost implies, even to myself, that I don't love that doll. But any dolls I have, I do love. It's just I was kind of curious, if I ever did run out of space, as a lot of us collectors will do one day. Sometimes I do wonder, what if I had to get rid of my least favorite? So, I'm kind of not toying with the idea, but it's something that makes me curious of who would be my least to my most favorite dolls if I ever had a limit. Because so far I seem like I don't. So keeping that in mind, the doll that I'm going to choose, I'm going to start at my least favorite and then work my way up to number 1 for the historicals. And then eventually I'll do this to other categories of American Girl dolls too, but it's easiest to start with the historicals because American Girl did start with the historicals. So now that I've said that, my least favorite historical of my historical dolls is Nenea. And it's probably no surprise to people who've seen my other videos, but this is probably the only time I'm ever going to show her in her actual historical outfit. And I don't know what it is. I think it could be a combination of my particular Nenea doll, who, if you look at her, she has these weird eyes that she's looking down, and I just can't make her look cute. And there's a little bit something about the mold itself that I so far haven't loved. And when I got her, I wanted to have one of every mold back then. Not just one, but at least one of every mold. And I knew that I could put her up in my Mary Ellen collection, so she's usually not wearing this. And then eventually I did get a couple other Nenea mold dolls, which I customized. And so she's just always kind of been really low. She's probably my least favorite doll of all my dolls. Not to say that I'm going to sell her or get rid of her, but it's just I also wonder if if I ever do change her eyes, swap them out for proper hazel eyes, ones that look forward instead of down, I wonder if I might like her more. But so far I haven't been inspired because I don't love her enough. And I don't even love her collection. In fact, I once did my favorite outfit from each historical doll, and I forgot to include her. It's like, because I don't even I don't hate her collection, but it's nothing about it appeals to me. And I've repurposed her into Mary Ellen's world so hard that I forget that she's her own character sometimes. So she was easy to start with as my least favorite. And then my next least favorite was also easy as well because of other things I've mentioned on my channel. So it also may not be a surprise. I don't know if any of these are going to be a surprise, but it won't be a surprise that my next, so this is number 19, ranked number 19 of the 20 historical dolls I have, is Josefina. And I now have 2 Josefina dolls. I have this one, and I have the most recent re-release of her, the historical re-release, the not anniversary one, but the one after that. And I like this doll a little bit more. I mean, I do like the re-release Josefina I have, but this one I kind of want to choose because I love the outfit, and she's a little bit cuter because she's got a chubbier body, even though she's not squishy like a PC doll. And I also haven't had a chance to show her on here yet close up with her new wig, because when I first got her, my intention was to put her in a Lila wig and have her be Marisol, to substitute not having a Marisol in my collection. But now I have Marisol. So I also I also had a Kaya wig, which is close enough to the Josefina wig because the Josefina wig has the one long, really straight braid, and this just has 2. But it's so hard because the wig itself is so silky and soft. It's really hard to do anything with the wig. So one day I'm going to figure it out. And I never had a reason to have a second Josefina in my collection, so I don't know if I'll ever get a better version. She's cute. I don't hate her, but she's definitely, it was a toss-up between her and Nenea, but Nenea is always going to, poor thing, take the back of the pack. And I think already going into my next doll, who would be number 18 out of 20, she's already a doll I don't really have beef with. As in, I don't have any problems with her, but she ranked low in my collection, in my list, because I don't love Rebecca's collection. But the Rebecca doll I have is really cute, and I've often talked in my videos that I have bad luck with Josefina molds with their eyes being bad, but this one actually has pretty good eyes, and I like this Be Forever outfit better than her original, but her original one has grown on me. I just don't feel like I need it. So it was pretty easy to put her near the bottom of the pack too, but I hope, it's like I don't want my first $5 to make it seem like I don't like those dolls in particular. I really do like her, and I've had her for quite a while, and I have no intentions of ever expanding her collection. The only other piece I have, if as far as I remember, is her recent Hanukkah dress, which is one of my favorite outfits, but she's not one of my most favorite dolls. And I don't know, she's a little bit plain, the mousy brown hair, which is similar to my hair color if I had hair. And yeah, so there's nothing really that stands out to her as far as my dolls go. So that's why she ended up getting ranked pretty low. And then the next doll on my list, she's another one who's kind of plain, but she has a cute collection. So that's why I got her. And this is Kit. Oops, Kit in her photography dress or outfit, I think it's called. And how many dolls have looked like this? Blonde hair, blue eyes. The one thing that drew me to her design wise for the doll would be her freckles. And she has a few cute outfits. But there's just, I don't know. I have her on a little display. She's got her scooter and her dog. So there was a way I could enjoy her. But when I think about her and all the blonde and blue eyed dolls that exist, she's one of the sort of few I actually have, but because she has an aesthetic that doesn't really appeal to me too much, as in I look like this as a kid. So I think that's why I like her, but again, easy to put her at near the bottom of my list. So she would be number 17. I had to write this all down because I'm dealing with $20 and I can barely deal with 3 and remember things. And okay, so the next doll, okay, so as I was setting up for the video, I wanted to put some dolls in new outfits, just mix it up a little bit for myself. And then after I put this next doll and styled her for what I'm about to show you, I was ready to start playing and like bumping things around because I was like, oh, she looks so cute. I think I like her a little bit more. But I was like, you know what? I'm just getting seduced by the newness of how she looks. So just stick to my original number. So my 16 is Kirsten. And I only have one each of Rebecca and Kit, so I didn't have really anything to say about that. But I have a few Kirsten dolls now. This is my PC Kirsten, and usually I have her displayed in the re-released birthday outfit. But because winter's coming, and I just wanted to see her in something new. And I had originally taken her hair out of the braids because usually when she's shown in the birthday outfit, she's got her hair just out and wavy. And after playing with her different few hairstyles to make her look good for her winter outfit, I think I've seen her, I don't know if she's wearing that in her, I think maybe it's in the cover of her birthday book, this kind of hairstyle. And it was so cute that I just fell so far in love with her that I felt kind of bad putting her at, what did I say number she is? Number 16 out of 20. But I have to stick with my original numbers because, after I adjust to this and she just turns back into another blonde haired blue eyed doll, I don't think I would actually move her up in my numbers. But the PC dolls, another thing I should mention too, is any PC doll, it's going to be easier for me to like them more just because there was something more special. Like if you look at her compared to Kit, her face is a lot cuter. I don't know if I need to grab her in closer just to take in her hairstyle. And if you compare her to the newer Kirsten dolls that have come out, her eyes are a lot of a softer blue too, which also lends to her uniqueness. But I'm going to keep her at number 16. I think I said twice. Ooh, it's probably going to get really crowded up here. Nothing new. Just don't want any dolls to go flying. That's her skate. I don't know if that microphone picked up the scratching sound. And it's almost fitting that I'm going to go, the next doll I'm going to move on to, number 15, is also one of the original PC dolls. And I would have thought she would have been higher up on my list, but when I was numbering everything, I couldn't put her any higher. But I do really love Molly, who is what would that make her, 15? Number 15. And I also put her in a new to my collection outfit for this video, which was the same thing as restyling Kirsten. I was tempted to bumper farther up. But I actually did try, but when I moved other dolls around, it didn't work. So Molly's going to be stuck at number 15, but she was originally my favorite of the original three, and I have a few Molly dolls, both PC, a couple PC and Be Forever. So it's like I have a new version and older versions of her, similar to Kirsten. And it's this outfit is it never struck me as a her what is it her school outfit because it's so Christmassy. It's so red and green. It's like why wasn't this one of her Christmas outfits? And I do have her Christmas gown, but I feel like after I put her in this, I actually just got this within the last couple weeks, so it's very new to me. I feel like I might put her, because like I said, I have more than one Molly, so I might put one in this outfit and one in her actual Christmas outfit, because this, do you see it? It's a Christmas outfit, right? Like, why would this be a school? Anyway, I do love the doll. And it's like, I might say that a lot as I'm going through this, because it's like, I feel bad for these particular dolls who are, they're not even top 10 out of the 20 historical characters I have. So anybody out there who kind of has feelings about me putting them so low, just know that I do love them too. And I'm feeling bad here. And the next doll, I actually thought she would have been higher because I love her collection so much. But all these classic mold dolls, it's really hard to rank them all so high. But this is Mary Ellen, obviously, in her meat outfit and accessories. But as I was saying before, I have a really large display for her in her diner, and I have, like, I love her collection and her world so much that I've introduced, I think, 9 other dolls to be part of her world. But and when I was going through these dolls, I was factoring in different things. Sometimes it was how much do I love their collection, how much do I love their outfits, how much do I love the doll itself, and it was just almost like a weird math game that didn't always make sense. But each one was individual, and like I said, moving numbers around so much, and this was the final number I came with. I only have one of her because I have a lot more dolls to fill out her collection and her wardrobe. So she's number 14, and yeah, I think it's mostly her collection that I love. I could have maybe even put the doll lower, but her collection is so nostalgic for me, even though I'm not from the 1950s. But I am from the 1980s, and we did love the 1950s back then. So that might be a little bit of a bias, but everything's going to be biased. It's a ranking. And so the next doll on my list, and it's another doll who I think it's her collection I love, and that's why she was higher than I probably would have otherwise. And it's Julie. And I could say a lot about Julie because she's another Josefina doll, and my particular doll, which is what I'm ranking, I'm not just ranking the doll itself, I'm kind of ranking my doll. And mine isn't the best. She's got one of those eyes that goes the wrong direction, like a lot of my Josefina mold dolls. But there's just something about her collection. Her wardrobe is it's so fun and colorful and vibrant. And that's something that really attracts me to dolls is when, I love bright colors. And even though having grown up in the 80s, hating the 70s as a kid because it just seemed old and like gross, you know what I mean? Like if a 1970s movie came on the TV, I would not want to watch it. I would feel like grossed out as a kid. Like, ew, it's so old. But with Julie, for some reason, it's nostalgic in a way too, I guess, because I would have seen 70s stuff growing up. And she's another one I'm feeling like a little bit guilty about ranking her. I'm like so conflicted about Julie because she's another doll. I've introduced a lot of dolls into her world, and I have quite a few of her play sets or pieces, like furniture and stuff like that. But, there are only enough spots for, your number one. And one thing I have to say about my top 3, I should have said this in the beginning, is all 3 of my top 3 dolls all have something in common, and it's exclusive to them. So I clearly have certain biases that are going to be probably already obvious, but they'll get worse as I go. And the next doll, I was so surprised she was so high. And she was high from, I know 12 isn't that high, but considering how I feel about this particular type of aesthetic and type of doll, I'm always surprised how much I like Caroline. Because the weird thing is, she's got the unique blue eye, so she really stands out. And she's got like a very pale platinum blonde hair, which I have to say is something I generally don't like. And I do like pink, but just having this basic blonde, blue-eyed pink good doll, it was like, why do I like this doll so much? I don't love her collection. I have maybe 2 of her other outfits, and I've never displayed her in a different outfit. She's always been in this, which I love the way it all comes together as just this cohesive look of the pink and the light green. There's something so pretty about, eye-catching about it is what it is about Caroline. And I'm going to put her in her winter coat later on this year. And I wonder if I would like her as much not in this outfit. But why did I tape her to this? uh, I put tape on her shoe. Anyway, probably because her legs are so loose. But yeah, so I'm really surprised how much I love Caroline. Like I wouldn't have, like when I think about Caroline, she doesn't come to mind as one of my favorite dolls. But whenever you know, when I do think about her, I think she is a doll that I love, which is just so weird because it's like against all the odds, she's a number, what did I say, 12? And um, the number 11 doll is another doll I only have one of, but I have quite a few of her outfits, and the doll itself has a very special story. But this is Felicity. So, I have a PC Felicity, which I mean, I don't want to go into the story too much because I want to make it about the ranking, but she didn't come in this condition, even though, you know, in the ad that I bought her from, she looked immaculate. She looked flawless and pretty minty. The one I got was not the doll. And then I had to go through a lot to get her look this great. So really, she could have ranked higher. I wouldn't have been surprised if she had ranked higher. But again, looking at all those other dolls that I love so much, I had to put her as high as I possibly could, which wasn't very high. And I love her wardrobe, and I do have some of her actual accessories that aren't clothing related. But she's not somebody, I think a lot of the older PC stuff, I'm not really interested in any of too much of the play sets because they're expensive and they're very, very big. Oh, she's not a good doll to sit down with this hat on. Oops. And another thing about Felicity that I love before I move on to the next batch is because she was the first one to introduce those decal bright green eyes, that does have a special sort of place in my eyes, in my eyeballs for when I look at the dolls. And I love red hair, so the green with the red. And I love Christmas, so she has a lot of things that work a lot in her favor. And so, like I said, this is the first 10 of the top of the 20. So I'm going to go into the top 10 next. But before I do, let me clear out all the dolls that are in the display behind me, because at the end I would like to show them all kind of situated together in a big group shot at the end. So moving into the top 10, the very first doll I'm going to start with, I don't know how she made it so high. And I did try to move her around. I tried to replace anybody. So it's just weird. Some of these placements are so weird, but I wasn't going to fight how I felt. I was just going to question myself after. So having said that, my number 10 doll is Isabelle, the Millennium Twin Isabelle, not the dancer Isabelle, Girl of the Year. And maybe it's the decal green eyes that make her stand out, but I don't know how she made it higher than Felicity. But like I said, weird math game, and she just came out in number 10. It could also be because, you know, I have so many memories of the 90s, so it's that nostalgia bait that whenever I talk about the millennial twins, that's what I talk about. It's the nostalgia bait, which is a good thing. I think it's smart marketing, and, you know, I enjoy dolls because of nostalgia, so I'm never going to complain about that. But it's just so funny that this doll, I remember when I first got into the twins and thinking, oh, you know, I remember the 90s. I thought, you know, I'm more of a Nikki collector, as in a collector who loves you. You know, if you choose one twin, mine would be Nikki. But eventually, as the dolls grew on me more and more and more, I was like, I can't leave Nikki without her twin sister, even though I originally wanted to. So she's number 10. It's higher than I would expect, especially if like I had ranked everything when I first started, earlier when I started collecting. But as is now, she's a very pretty doll, and she's one of my favorite molds. She's my second favorite mold, so maybe that lends a little bit to the bias as well. Like I said, weird math game. And then, so moving on to number 9, it's a doll I definitely would have thought was higher, Melody. But I think what's happened with Melody is because it's a mold I have so many dolls of, and you know, my very favorite doll is a Sonali mold doll. So it kind of just, she just kind of pales in comparisons to some other dolls who are of the same mold, including a doll you'll see later in the video. I'm not biased toward the 60s as well. And I mean, 9 is still pretty high, but it's just, I don't know why. I guess I always thought she was one of my most favorite historical dolls, but she's really not. But I love her, and I have a lot of her outfits. And I only recently gave her a best friend, and you know, I have a few pieces from her collection that I really love. So yeah, I guess it's just, it was a surprise when moved around some things. It was as high as I can get. It was number 9. And now moving on to number 8 is a doll. If I said that Isabelle was a nostalgia bait doll, she's got nothing on number 8, Courtney. And when I look at the doll herself, I of course they would go with classic mold. Makes total sense. It'd be weird if they didn't choose her to be their 1986 doll. But it's unfortunate that even though I think she's considered a redhead, maybe strawberry blonde. To me, she just looks blonde and blue-eyed. And the thing is, I had to place her higher because I love her collection so much. The first thing I started collecting in American Girl was her collection, her wardrobe, and not for American Girl or for Courtney to wear, but other dolls that I have, other 18-inch dolls. So I can't deny that I don't just love her collection. Like when I was a kid, when I was a little bit younger than Courtney would have been in 1986, I would have loved to have dressed like the boy version of the way she dresses, but I had a teenage brother, so he's quite a few years older than I am, and my mom always made me believe that this is how teenagers dress, but I think she just didn't want to buy us. She couldn't afford to buy us, to dress us both this way. So when I look at Courtney and her collection, her world, her pieces, I just love all of that so much that it ranks her a little bit higher. But I've also toyed with, because I don't love the doll necessarily as much as her collection, I've toyed with getting an older Kirsten doll because she's still the blonde, blue-eyed aesthetic, and giving her this wig because I just think the older version of the mold, the Pleasant Company version of the mold, would have made more sense because it's 1986. And I know Mattel, from what I've heard, and I wasn't there, so I don't know if it's actually true. What I've heard is when they got the rights, they had to make their own versions of the mold. So I guess they just either went as close as they could get, or they were determined to make all the dolls have bigger, rounder eyes, because that's what's happened to the classic mold. That kind of it took so long for the classic mold to grow on me, which is something I forgot to say in the beginning. I only have liked the classic mold for the last couple months. So if they had, given her the older mold, which they couldn't have, I would have liked her a lot more. So anyway, it's her collection I love. So Courtney gets a little bit of a boost because of that. Number 8. And I don't know where she would be otherwise, because I had to put the whole thing together in my head. My whole bias is bias math. Oh, and the next doll, number 7, I think this is right about where I would have expected Kaya to be, because she's beautiful, unique mold. The first doll to come out with a closed mouth. There's some cultural significance as to why she has a closed mouth. She's got the beautiful dark hair and dark eyes, which I always love. I'm always biased toward. I think the one regret I have about Kaya is I prefer her powwow of today outfits over her meet outfit, which is the only one that's era appropriate and as culturally appropriate as it should be. And I do like her meet outfit fine, but it's the colors of her powwow outfits that really catch my eye, as I mentioned earlier, like in bright colors. So unfortunately, I usually display her in this, and then I have her doll to represent her actual proper aesthetic. But I do love Kaya, and I have a couple CYO dolls in the Kaya mold, but I prefer to have the if it's not Kaya, I prefer it to be a boy, because I want the closed mouth to be special and unique and exclusive to her as far as the American Girl dolls go, which is just my personal opinion. And I know other people feel differently, and there's nothing wrong with feeling differently. We all love different things, and we can't help what we like. So I do love the Kaya doll, and I love the Kaya mold, aside from her for boys. And so my number 6 doll, so it was easy to pick. I knew that this character would be number 6, but I had so much trouble picking because I have multiples of this doll. Out of everyone up here so far, I don't have multiples of the actual doll. The one I have another Kaya, but it's a TLC, tender loving, like one you need to fix up version. So I made it a different character. I don't really consider it Kaya, technically. So the next doll, it was really hard to pick which version of the doll, because I actually love all my Addie dolls in such, like, they're all so unique. They all bring something special to my collection. And I think the only way I could settle on this picking a doll was because I generally prefer Pleasant Company quality, the squishiness, just the way the vinyl is so soft and smooth, almost feels like skin in not a creepy way. So I think that's the only reason I chose this version of Addie to be my number. What did I say? She has 6, right? So she's number 6. And I think if I had done this earlier in my collecting, American Girl collecting career, she would have been ranked a lot lower because the mold has since grown on me so much that it is one probably my third favorite mold, maybe fourth, third, fourth, and her collection is wonderful. I love all of her outfits. I'm not gonna. I'm so glad that it's all been discontinued, and I hope it doesn't come back because I don't know where I'd put it all. But I know I would want it. I would just get her outfits, and I do have quite a few of her outfits, and I love them so much that I have, I don't know what, 4 or 5 Addie dolls at this point. But she's my only PC Addie, so that's why I chose her to represent number 6. And then my number 5 doll, I'm getting to the top 5, so obviously that's like cutting hairs here. But number 5 is a very special doll that took me quite a while, quite a few attempts to get her into my collection, and it's Cecile. And so what I was saying earlier about, I would have thought I liked Melody more, but there are just other dolls of the same mold that, they outshine her. And for me personally, like Cecile is so special with this beautiful wig and her hazel eyes that really pop against her. I believe she's a 30 skin tone because it's so hard I have a lot of trouble really determining the skin tones because even though I know I'll look it up on Wikipedia or the wiki page for American Girl, it just depends on the batch you get. And a doll can look so unique even though you have 5 of the same tone. So that's why I believe she's 30. And if I'm wrong, sorry about that. I will believe you more than my memory. And so this is the second wig because she's had 2 wigs. The first one, I believe it was the first one, had the longer sausage curls. And this one is a bit more, in my opinion, closer to the Claude wig, this tighter spiral curl. Still has a little bit of red in it, but not as much, as far as pictures I can see in pictures, as the first wig. And I got her for my birthday, so if the other dolls left on the list didn't exist, and then of course she would be higher, but it's all like I said, splitting doll hairs at this point. And I do love my Cecile doll though. And, you can only have one number 1, and you already know who it's going to be. So my number 4 doll is probably getting obvious what's left, but it's Nikki. And Nikki is one of my top dolls, and she has been since I got her. She's the doll I would say I relate to her the most because of, I was a teenager around the time of her and her sister's story. And I feel like these dolls, if they're not older in the story, then I believe they seem a little bit older, at least. They seem closer to 16, 15, 16, which is, I think I would have been around that age at that time, maybe a little bit older. I don't know. And so the way she dresses is a lot like how I dressed at that time. So when I talk about nostalgia bait, Nikki has the most nostalgia bait out of the 2 sisters, and that's why I love her. Her hair is unique, even though I don't love, and it's not just my doll that's like this, I don't love that the blonde parts are so uneven. Like if you look on this side, she's got some shorter cut, like they're cut up to, where am I going the wrong way? Up here, like it's cut short and then long. So I just wish that I wish her wig was a little bit better, because even trying to get these braids in, it's also uneven. I don't know why I'm complaining when I'm trying to rank the dolls, but I'm saying like she has her flaws, I guess is what I am trying to say. And that's why, but you know what? Who am I kidding? The flaws aren't why she's not any higher than number 4. 4 is high when you see who's left. So let me just shut up about her and move on to number 3, who is probably not going to be too surprising. She's a doll I have multiples of. And of all the multiples, this is by far my favorite, as it was my first. And it's Samantha, my Pleasant Company Samantha, who I know people say doesn't exist. Dreamer Samanthas don't exist, but I don't care. She's my Dreamer Samantha, and I'm sticking with that story. and even though you probably won't agree, and you're probably right and I'm wrong, that's fine. I'm still going to call her that. And I used to believe that Samantha was my least favorite of the original 3 characters. I thought it was Molly, then Kirsten, then Samantha. And as you saw in the ranking, Samantha is like my 3rd favorite doll now, or 3rd favorite historical doll, because my favorite Samantha is my 3rd favorite of the dolls I'm showing. And since I've bought this doll, including the Be Forever version, I think I now have 6 Samantha dolls, which is ridiculous. It's because I actually love her outfits too. After this doll grew on me, her outfits grew on me, and it's like I wanted to have a Samantha for each of my favorite outfits. So now I have I think more than enough Samanthas for the outfits I want to have in my collection, and I don't even have the outfits yet. So it's like they're just there. The other two are just there for waiting, and they're in waiting until I buy the actual outfits to display them in. But yeah, what I wanted to say about her, she's the original doll with the dark brown decal eyes, but this particular Samantha, and I compare all my Samanthas, they all look so different. I don't know what Pleasant Company was doing. It's like every batch they were changing something that they all look so different. So she has like a really wide head. It looks like a little baby to me, and I think that's part of the reason why I love her. I feel this like, um, is sympathy the right word? And I don't know, a human connection, even though she's a doll. Don't get me wrong, but I'm saying there's something so cute and lively looking about her that she's a really unique one. And so even though she has the dark brown decal eyes, they're very different. These ones are different from all my other dark brown decal eye dolls. And speaking of dark brown decal eye dolls, I'm going to go into my number 2 doll. Sorry, I'm trying to set them according to the monitor. My number 2 doll is a doll I love so much that the only, obviously you know who my number 1 is. So it's like if that wasn't the case, it's like if I had excluded my number 1 doll, who should be excluded from every ranking I ever do because I just love her too much, this would definitely be number 1. But like I love Ivy so much, and I love having because I got her when I bought her, she was sort of fresh out of the doll hospital, so she just feels so new. And again, I got to bring her close so you can see those dark brown decal eyes I love so much, because they've only done them on 3 dolls, and those dolls, obviously Claudie's number 1, are the number 1, or all 3 of my top 3 dolls have those dark brown decal eyes. So yes, I absolutely love dark brown decal eyes, but I love decal eyes in general, to be honest. And I think I actually like the light brown decal eyes more than the dark brown, but there just aren't enough dolls that have them. And Ivy is someone I regret that I can't collect any more of her collection, because I love her. The few outfits she's had released, her New Year outfit and her rainbow romper, they're so expensive though to find in the secondary market, especially her romper outfit. But so that's like, when I think about Grail, that outfit is a Grail along with Julie's skateboarding outfit. They both have that same rainbow kind of aesthetic. And as a kid who grew up in the 80s, as I've said a couple times already, Care Bears, My Little Pony, rainbows were just like a thing. What was her name? Anne Frank. All that rainbow stuff that happened in the 80s. It's just nostalgic for me, I guess, at this point in my life. And so now I'm going to move on to the most obvious doll of this whole list. And of course, that's Claudie. And when I said I was going to choose my favorite doll of each doll to get her as high in my ranking, I decided to be facetious and put Claudie in her pajamas, because it's my way of saying that even in her sleep, Claudie is my number 1 doll. So this definitely isn't my favorite Claudie, because, all my Claudies are the same. It's just that I have them all in different outfits. But I really wanted to drive it home, because I don't think I made it clear on here on my channel yet how much I love Claudie. But there it is, me being shady and putting her in her pajamas against all these other girls in their like best outfit possible for my taste. So that would be so these are the 20 historical characters I actually own. And they're the only ones I'll ever own, because I really don't like the 5 I don't have. I have no use for them. I forget they exist, to be honest. And so if you want to know my ranking of the 5 historical characters I don't have, number 5, so technically 25 of the historical characters, would be Marie Grace. So it's sad to say that there's a doll who's like my least favorite historical doll, but because I know she has a lot of fans and she's very pretty, she's just not for me. And her in her original mold, there's something going on in one of her eye sockets in pictures that I've seen. Something seems to be like sunken in or something. So she looks a little bit, her mold looks a little bit deformed, which is probably not a nice word to use about a doll's face, but that's just what I see when I look at her in pictures. I've never seen a Marie Grace doll that doesn't have what looks like a defect to me. So she's number 5 of the dolls I don't have, number 25 of the historical characters. And number 4 of the dolls I don't have, so number 24, is Elizabeth. And I like her collection. I like a lot of her outfits. I have a couple of them, at least one of them, for Felicity. So I think one day I would probably collect some of her outfits, Elizabeth's, but I don't like the doll. She's a Josefina mold with that blonde hair, blue eye combination, which is my least favorite combination of like a doll aesthetic. So she, like poor Marie Grace is the same thing. She's pretty blonde with bluish, greenish, gray eyes. So yeah, they're my two least favorite of the dolls. And Nellie is third lowest. And the only thing that she has going for her, she has a cute freckle pattern, and I believe her wig is considered ginger. It looks very blonde to me. I have the wig on a custom doll, but because Nellie has blue eyes and she's a Josefina mold, there's just so much going against her. But her aesthetic, like her outfit, her meat outfit, she looks really cute as a doll, as in she just looks like a very cute classic doll. But I don't like the doll enough herself to ever want her or any of her collection because she's Samantha's best friend. I forgot to mention whose best friend they were, but first of all, Marie Grace, you would know, is she's not Cecile's best friend. They're two best friends. It's an even split of the collection, but I only want Cecile. And Elizabeth, I did, okay, I did mention Felicity, so never mind. It's just, yeah, Nellie is Samantha's best friend, and I would never put Samantha in any of Nellie's outfits. I don't love any of them enough. And so my number two, so out of the dolls I have, my second favorite of the dolls I don't have and don't want is Emily, Molly's best friend. And, you know, she's cute. She's got reddish hair. She looks like so many other dolls. I forget she exists. It's just that classic mold. I believe she's blue-eyed and a reddish blondish hair. So, you know, there are dolls that look like her close enough to her in my collection, so I would never ever need her. And even I can't even picture any of her outfits. And so my most favorite of the historical dolls I'll never have, so number 21, but number one out of these dolls, is Kit's best friend, Ruthie. She has a unique color combination, like the gray eyes with an auburn, like dark brown hair color. But she's a classic mold, and even though that mold's grown on me, I have way too many classic mold dolls that I don't feel like I need anymore. And so that's like my full ranking of all the historical dolls. But any other rankings I do, I'm just going to include my dolls. So if I do my Trilly Me dolls or my boy dolls or whatever I do rankings of, I'm not going to bother with the dolls I don't have because, you know, historicals are only 5 left. And what I meant, as I was kind of alluding to in the beginning of the video, part of the reason I want to do these rankings, I'm going to continue it as a series, is because my big goal or mission at the end, it'll be quite a few months away from now, is to rank all my dolls. And the idea of ranking all my dolls as is, I don't think I could do it without doing this little breakdown first, because I have at this point over 130 dolls, and I think by the time I get around to doing the all my doll ranking, I'll probably have close to 150, maybe even beyond. Like, who am I kidding? And so that's why this is going to be a series to begin with, and then I'm going to finish off with that video that, even as I'm talking about, I'm getting stressed. So I'll be fine by the time I get there. I'll have already broken it down somewhat, except I'm going to have to work in all these dolls I have extras of and try to be fair and not have, like, you know, my top 10 being Claudie. I'll try to do my best. So now that I've said that, let me put these 10 up behind me so that I can just, you know, do a little, like a recount, or, yeah. Let me just put them all together and show you all at once. I believe the word I was looking for is recap. Let me recap the top 20 dolls in my ranking. So let me go in right into their faces so you can see them close up. Starting with number 20, Nenea, next Josefina, Rebecca, at least she has decal eyes. Kit, Kirsten with her soft blue eyes and her cute little new hairstyle. Molly, PC Molly with her Christmassy school outfit. Got Mary Ellen here. Julie with her eyes looking in 2 different directions. Caroline with those beautiful aquamarine decal eyes. Felicity with the first one to have the bright green decal eyes. Starting or down to my top 10 with Isabelle, the next bright green eyes. Melody, Courtney, Kaya, PC Addie, Cecile with those decal eyes that pop so nicely. Nikki, my little baby Samantha, Ivy, and the most obvious, Claudie. So that's everyone again, and I want to thank everyone who tuned in or stuck all the way around to the end. And if you're still here, make sure to let me know what your sort of ranking would be, if there are any you just thought were preposterous that I put so high or so low, because I do like to hear how other people feel. I love knowing that dolls I don't love, other people do, because, you know, we all have different tastes, and every doll has a good reason to exist. So thanks again, and I will see you soon in the next one.